everyone, it's John from What Up, and welcome back to another video. Now, it's been a while since we had an actual Wheel of Time news video. We've been talking a whole lot about leaks because, let's face it, Morocco has been very leaky for the Wheel of Time production crew, and we've learned a whole lot about the second season. Now, in the last week and a half or so, there's been a bunch of other things that have come up, including JordanCon, a new cast member, which I did in another video, hints of the end of casting, a new book coming out with some secrets that maybe were revealed this fall, a whole bunch of stuff, and we're going to cover all of that in today's video. Now, if you're new to the channel, you don't know what we do here, we cover Wheel of Time show news, so anything and everything to do with the Wheel of Time, that's what we talk about here. So if you like that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. If you like the video, make sure you like it as well, because it does extend the channel's reach, and the more people that watch my videos and subscribe, well, the more videos I can do for you folks. Now, before we get into the video, I'm going to have to give a slight spoiler warning, at least for Season 1 of the Wheel of Time and the first couple of books, because let's face it, we're going to be talking a bit about Season 2 and doing some speculation. So, spoiler warning, in this video we're talking about certain elements of Season 2 of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show. So if you haven't read at least the first 3 books of the Wheel of Time, that's The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, and The Dragon Reborn, and you haven't seen the full first season of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show, be forewarned, I'm going to ruin minor plot points and character arcs from both of them. Now, with that being said, let's get on to the video. Alright, so there was a bunch of news over the last couple of weeks, but JordanCon happened last week. Now, it looked like a whole lot of fun. It basically spanned 5 or 6 days for a 3-day con. Essentially, there's a lot of dinners and karaoke and get-togethers and stuff that happens in the hotel. There's a lot of really interesting things that the fandom gets together and does that I missed out on, unfortunately, again this year, but I hope at some point in the near future to make it in the next couple of years. That would be really fantastic. There were a ton of other content creators there, and all of you folks, you didn't leave me out. There was a ton of pictures and videos and messages sent to me during JordanCon, so I got to kind of experience it secondhand, which was very nice. Now, there was a couple of different treats at JordanCon. Now, it just wasn't panels, which were really fantastic. It just wasn't content creators, which is really cool. It wasn't the costume contest. There was all the normal things, but the production team had a small presence there as well this year, and they sent a message to people at JordanCon. Now, for those of us that weren't able to be there, JordanCon took this message and they put it on their YouTube channel. So I've watched it, and it's about 35 minutes long, and I've left a link to it down below in the description box. Now, there's some really interesting things said in there. Basically, what happened was JordanCon asked everyone what questions they would have for the production team. They gathered up a bunch of them, sent them off to the production team, and then they choose to answer a few lucky people's questions. Now, it was Rafe Judkins, some of the cast, costume designer, a few other people that got to answer some of these questions, and I'm obviously not going to break them all down, but some of them were pretty cool and some of them were pretty poignant, so we're going to talk about a couple of them here on the channel, and then I'll let you folks watch the video to basically see the rest of them, which again is linked down below. Now, Rafe Judkins started it off, and he kind of came in through the video and talked about a few questions here and there. But when he started off and gave his introduction, he did mention that he was sitting in front of where they were practicing a very iconic battle from the book series. Now, we do know from leaks that Ayoola are on the set, White Cloaks are on the set, Sean Chan are on the set, and Heroes for the Horn are on the set, so we assume it's the Battle of Falme, but we don't have any real indication that this is Falme yet, other than the fact that that's the only place we can really think it fits in the second season. So we think he was sitting in front of the Battle of Falme, and you can certainly hear them practicing in the background. If you want to see behind-the-scenes videos of that, though, check out my last couple leaks videos. You'll get to see the stunt people actually practicing the scenes, and it's probably around the same time that he recorded this particular video in front of them, which is pretty neat. Now, during this, he gave the casting announcement for Aviendha. Now, Ayoola Smart will be playing Aviendha, and I've covered that in another video. However, what was really interesting is that Rafe Judkins mentioned that she partakes in this particular battle, which doesn't happen in the book series. Now, we do meet Aviendha for the first time on this side of the spine of the world. I guess that doesn't really make any sense. In the wetlands, I guess I should say, not in the waste, where she basically rescues Nynaeve and the girls from Dark Friends and Fades, but how are they going to portray that in the show? If she's taken part in what we assume is the Battle of Falme, things are going to be just a little bit different. Now, we don't know if there's going to be a ton of Ayoola there, or if it's just going to be Aviendha. We don't know if she's gone on the search for the Karakarn, or if she showed up with Randall Thor himself. We have no idea whatsoever, but I'd like to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section on how you think she's going to fit into the second season. We know for sure she's partaking in this big battle that has pretty much everyone else, the Heroes of the Horn, Sean Chan, White Cloaks, and there are a few cast members that were on set during this time as well, included Raga Ragnars, who we believe plays Brigitte. We saw pictures of that we talked about in my last leak video, but we really don't know how things are going to play out, so let me know what you folks think. Now, he also mentioned a couple of other things during the video. He answered some questions, such as the inclusion of other LGBTQIA+ relationships in the show. Now, What he said makes a ton of sense since what they've already done. They've taken things that were hinted at or speculated upon in the book series and kind of leaned into it and brought them more to the forefront. And he said they will continue to do that throughout the show, which I think is a fantastic thing. It brings a lot of inclusion to the show, to things that are absolutely already canon, which is really cool. Now, there were a couple of other people that talked here. Now, Daniel Henney, he did get to answer a couple of questions like, what was his favorite prop and what would he take home? Of course, Lan's sword. Where was his favorite casting, or where was his favorite shooting location? And he said that was down near the boot of Italy last September when they filmed some scenes with him and Moraine for season 2. All kinds of different interesting things there. And the great thing about this is he did get to talk a little bit about the other cast members, such as Zoe and Madeline, and basically how they've essentially become sisters and created their own language, and it's a treat to see them interact, which is really good to see the cast becoming so very close, because let's face it, the chemistry will transport from real life onto the screen, which is really very cool. Now, Marcus Rutherford got to answer a couple of different questions here, but one of the most interesting ones I thought was he was asked what character he would like to play instead of Perrin if he didn't play Perrin. And of course he answered Lan, because who wouldn't want to play Lan? Marcus, I think, would do a really good job of playing Lan. Very stoic, very reserved. I think he could pull it off 100%. Now, we have Kate Fleetwood, who plays Leandrin, and she was asked a ton of different questions, and she basically let slip that we're going to see some surprises for Leandrin in Season 2, and that she loves the fact that Leandrin is a multi-layered character, and that she's basically enhanced upon from the books, because, let's face it, in the books, she was sort of 2D. She was, well, we could say it, Robert Jordan didn't really write any of the evil characters well at first. A lot of them were 2D and a lot of them are pretty cookie cutter, but they've definitely improved upon Leandrin a little bit, I think, for the show, in my opinion. Anyway, I'll probably get some hate for that in the comments. Go ahead, roast me for it, it's fine. But it is a pretty generally well-known fact that some of the evildoers in the books weren't written exactly the greatest until much later on in the series. But it was really neat to see her responses on that. And then we had Hamed Enemashon, and the questions that he was asked ranged from the very serious to how they adapted Loyal's costume and his look, which obviously differs from what we expected from the books, to how many books can Loyal fit in his pocket. Now, the answer to that is 25, but the answer to the first question is a little more serious, and it did make a lot of sense. Now, when Loyal's look first came out, there were a lot of people that were pretty upset, I guess is the best way to put it, because it wasn't exactly how they pictured Loyal in their minds. However, the explanations we got during Season 1 and now, it makes a whole lot of sense. They wanted to make things as practical and as comfortable for Hammett as possible, because he's going to get a lot of screen time. And let's face it, if you have to go through 10 hours or 12 hours of makeup a day, it may be okay for a movie shoot where it'll be over very quickly, but over a series where you're going to be shooting for 8, 10, maybe 12 years to get 8 seasons in, it's going to take a toll on the actor. So, of course, they want to make it as practical as possible and as little prosthetics as possible, because it would become pretty tiring for him. So it was pretty neat to hear that. Now, the last one here is the costume designer. Now, she was asked a number of questions, from what was her favorite costume to inspirations, and it's really neat to see what goes in behind all of the fantastic costumes that are on set. Now, I know some people don't like them, but I, for one, thought every costume was absolutely beautiful and well made. And in fact, in my last leak video, we got to see a little bit of a glimpse of one of the Heroes for the Horn costumes in a garment bag, and it is absolutely stunning, even if it did remind me of a Shan-Chan Highblood when perhaps it's a Hero for the Horn instead. Really cool, though. Now we're going to get into talking just a bit about Aviendha and some cool things there. Now, a couple of weeks before we had the official announcement for Ayoola Smart as Aviendha, she had posted this. Now, little slow on the uptake because I haven't done a news video in a while, and I kept meaning to include it, but then she got actually announced as a cast member, so it didn't get included beforehand. But essentially, she posted this, and she said she's going back to work, and this was a plane ticket to Morocco. A couple of eagle-eyed fans on Twitter of Time and on Reddit basically picked out which flight it was, when it was coming in, all of that stuff from her ticket. And when they were able to tell that she was actually going there, which was another sort of hint that she was part of the cast, even though it was already talked about by WhatSeries.com quite some time ago. She was one of 4 rumored cast members. Now we know she's 100% involved in the show, which is pretty cool. Now the next thing we have also is from Ayoola. That is this. She posted this on her Instagram not too long ago. It was after her official casting announcement. And it's an Aiel spear. Really neat to see. Now, this isn't a huge spoiler, of course, because let's face it, we've seen these in the first season, especially in the Blood Snow, when we got to see Tigraine fight with them there. And it was absolutely fantastic to see on the screen. Now, I'm really hoping we get more of that really quick fast, furious fighting style in the second season when we see more of the Aiel, and I'm excited to see them on the screen. But it is kind of neat to be able to see the prop on someone's Instagram, because let's face it, we never really get to see much of this at all in the first season. Very rarely do we get any glimpses of actual official costumes or props that wasn't taken down very quickly or posted in mistakes. So I think this was calculated. I think they allowed her to post this, and I really, for one, liked seeing it. Now, there's a couple other things we're going to talk about here, and this is The Origins of the Wheel of Time. It's a new book by Michael Livingston. It's coming out this November. Get your pre-orders in now. I've left a link to it down below in the description box if you folks want to pre-order it. I know I have. And what's really interesting is Michael actually announced that he's going to be answering one of the big mysteries of the series. Now, that is, who is Nakomi? Now, I won't get too much into it because I didn't get spoiler warnings for the entire series, but of course, Nakomi is a character that shows up later on in the book series for a very, very brief period of time in a very pivotal scene, and no one really knows for sure who this particular person is or this character is. There's been a ton of speculation throughout the fans for years and years about this. And it was one of those things that was actually sealed and was not allowed to be released for a number of years after the end of the book series. And we're coming up to the end of that time frame, and he has promised us that we're going to get the answers in this book. So if you want to know who Nakomi is, the answers will be in this book, which is really, really cool in my opinion. The last thing we're going to talk about is Geeky Area on the 26th of April tweeted this. It seems filming is drawing to a close in Soria. Cast and crew enjoyed a wrap party last Friday, and today was the last day of filming for many involved. Whatever the season is wrapped or not is unclear, but we'll keep you updated when we know more. Now, Omar from wildseries.com also posted, it seems that there's about a week left of filming for some people, and then they'll be all done of season 2. Now, that's pretty exciting because they're going to be completely done filming season 2 by, it looks like, the first week of May or even earlier. And we know that we're probably not going to see season 2 until, and the rumor is, second quarter 2023. That's what we keep hearing from a number of different people. But I'm really hoping that since all the filming is done and now they're just doing post, that maybe we'll see it a bit sooner. Now, we know that Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power is coming out in September. It's going to run until the end of October-ish. Depending on how they do the releases. And we know for sure they will not 100% release Wheel of Time before then, nor will they probably do any marketing whatsoever, because Amazon is probably going to focus almost 100% on Lord of the Rings, because that's their big fantasy property, that's their baby, and Wheel of Time will probably come second to that. But we do know that post is going to take a very long time. They've increased the budget for season 2 for post-production substantially, so I'm hoping that we'll get a much better polished version of season 2 than we've seen in season 1. Now, we know that COVID had problems. They had to add a bunch of extra CG in the last couple of episodes they didn't expect. They had to rewrite due to cast members leaving. There was a lot of issues with the tail end of season 1 that I don't think we're going to be contending with at all for season 2. In fact, we've heard of very little drama, very little breaks in the shooting, very little problems, and now they've increased the post-production budget and time frame. So I'm kind of hoping season 2 is much bigger, badder, and cooler than season 1. And in fact, I've been told by people working on the show that they're much more excited for season 2 than they were for season 1, because it is going to be that much more cool. So take that with what you will, again, with a grain of salt, because it's not officially from Amazon, but I know that I personally am pretty excited. Now, let me know what you folks think in the comments down below. Do you really think we're going to get it second quarter of 2023, or do you think there's a possibility we'll get it earlier? And the other thing I want to ask is merchandise. And we all know Sony's in charge of merchandise, and I did a couple of videos on it a while ago now. We're talking months, and we haven't seen much of any merchandise whatsoever for the Wheel of Time. In fact, almost none compared to some of the other big Amazon shows. When do you think we're going to see it? Now, I've been told to expect a more formal, bigger launch of merchandise for season 2, but I'm kind of hoping we get some stuff for Christmas. I would like to see some Funko Pops. I'd like to see some maps, some posters, some different things like that. An expanded clothing line, maybe props. All of those things would be really neat. Let me know what your wish list items are for merchandise in the comments down below. Now, thank you so very much for sticking with me here to the very end. Here's to many more.